Welcome to Challenger Broaching, a Smash Brothers podcast, which does succeed at being a Smash Brothers podcast.
Yes, indeed.
I'm your host, one of your hosts, Sterling.
Yes, and I'm the other half of that equation, William.
We've got a pretty full docket today, trying not to have an episode as long as the last one. The last one we got very little feedback on because it was the first episode of a fledgling young podcast, but I thought it went well.
We'll grow. We got like 30 views.
For real?
That's 30 views. Yeah.
30's all right.
Yeah.
I don't mind 30.
No telling how long they were listening though.
True. So do you want to just jump into our characters?
Sure.
All right. Do you want me to start this time?
Yeah.
Last time?
Yeah, go ahead.
So this character is going to be a little closer to the sort of character that I typically like to bring up for Smash, which is to say, it's wild. So like, just bear with me, because I do have, I think, a convincing concept at the end of this. It's not like something particularly likely to happen, but it is something that I think would make sense and be cool.
Is it a retro character?
It is indeed
Yes.
a retro character of sorts, although their appearances have been consistent in frequency.
Sure.
Which is to say, few and far between. The character... Alright, I'm just going to lead with the character. The character is King Watinga.
I don't even know who that is. I don't know. Okay, wow.
Alright.
You caught me off guard.
Right. So, have you ever played Mario Paint?
No, but I'm familiar with it. Oh, is it it's the bug thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
King Watinga is the boss of Nat Attack, which is a mini game that exists not only in the Super Nintendo classic Mario Paint, but also in Mario Maker, and actually one of the WarioWare games, I want to say DIY, but it might be Mega Micro Games. Now that I think about it, it's definitely Mega Micro Games. Which I swear, WarioWare Inc. Mega Micro Games with the $, it was like a bet to have the most punctuation marks in the single video game title.
Yeah, probably.
Like, there's like a comma and a period and a colon and an apostrophe and a $.
God, what were they thinking?
Right? So King Watinga is a big metal bee, basically. He is like vaguely humanoid. It's not that much of a stretch to imagine him like on the battlefield, kind of floating a little bit above the ground, kind of like Mewtwo does when he's running. You know, I feel like there are other characters who float a little bit above the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
What makes King Watinga interesting, besides the fact that like King Watinga originates from a game which like represents a classic Super Nintendo peripheral, kind of represents the Super Nintendo itself in a way through the Super Nintendo mouse, in the same way that like Rob and Duck Hunt represent the NES through its peripherals. King Watinga also has a recent, like, I hesitate to say major appearance, but it's an appearance in a major game. Mario Maker was a huge smash hit.
Oh,
and, like,
okay. That's good.
Mario Maker was completely styled after Mario Paint because...
Was he one of the costumes?
Mario Paint was awesome. I don't actually know, but he's definitely, like, the boss of Nat Attack, which returns in that game. Like, in a whole new form. I think when you shake one of the nibbler plants, like, gnats start coming out.
Okay.
Anyway... It does show a little bit of an interesting through line from the SNES mouse's cursor all the way up to the Wii U and DS's like touchscreens, which is kind of something worth representing in the same way that the NES zapper kind of paved the way for the Wii remote, you could say. But in terms of moveset, I mean, there's so much to do with King Watinga. You can, have moves from Nat Attack. I think just Neutral B should be spawning at first a couple gnats and then one of the big flies, and then one of the other ones, and then a bomb, and then cycling back to Nats would be like sort of a pattern move with a few different projectiles.
Okay.
But then there's also, I think, like Duck Hunt, kind of, there should be moves that essentially use the cursor from Mario Paint and or Mario Maker to like try and swat at either Nats that King Watinga releases or King Watinga itself, but like with Duck Hunt, in practice hitting foes, essentially being like a fly swatter just snaps on screen and hits someone.
I got you. Okay.
Right. Can also like use it for grabs. Have like a cursor just click on someone to grab them. That's a move there. And then there's also Mario Paint and Mario Maker references that can be thrown in. Essentially have King Watinga represent the SNES mouse and both of these kind of weird oddball but very cool and very well-known Mario titles. While also being kind of our historical character in the same vein as Mr. Game & Watch and Rob.
Okay. And I
that's
I have a few objections to the character, or at least a few questions I need to voice. To me, he almost seems like he would be more of a stage boss, or just a regular boss in like the adventure mode, than a playable character.
I could see that.
You know, like isn't his size massive, or am I wrong?
No, not at all.
No?
I mean, he'd actually have to be sized up. He's like not much bigger than a gnat, which is a gnat.
Yeah.
You know, like he's massive in the scale of gnat attack, but he's not person sized.
Another point. Has there ever been an instance where our retro character wasn't representing a new franchise?
There has not been such an instance.
Okay, so this would be different. We're breaking new ground here.
It would be breaking new ground. It would be stretching boundaries a little.
Okay.
Which, like, there's no problems there to me, but I mean, also he could be represented with his own symbol.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but Yoshi's given his own symbol. And
maybe Gnat Attack could be treated as its own separate thing.
Gnat Attack is its own series.
Okay. Its own franchise. It could be, yeah.
And then after Smash 5, Sakurai's like, I'm working on the Gnat Attack reboot. Gnat Attack 2, baby.
That's not even that far-fetched. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, anyway.
So, tell me about who you've got
this
today.
is a little obvious. It's a timely suggestion, but I'm coming up with Eevee from Pokemon.
Okay.
Oh, yes. And I may not know much about Pokemon, but I have devised a moveset, at least in terms of her specials. Now, her gimmick, she has obviously several different transformations available.
Sure.
I don't think you'd want to incorporate all of them because there's simply too many. But given that this is, Gen 1 Eevee, we can stick with, Flareon, Vaporeon, and the electric one, Jolteon. So for her, she's going to transform between them. But it's not going to be like Pokemon Trainer, where you hit down special and then you shift between the different Pokemon. She's going to transform as she attacks. So for different attacks. So for instance, her neutral special will be just a plain old tackle, like she does when she comes out of her Pokeball as an item. Her up special will also be a tackle, but as Vaporeon, and it will be a bit of a water effect, and she'll move diagonally upward, sort of like Squirtle, recycling Squirtle's up B, sort of. The side special will be tackle, but as Jolteon, and there will be an electric effect that shocks her foes. And the down special will be tackle, as Flareon, which will produce a flame effect. So sort of a joke move set, but now, half serious. She just uses tackle all across the board. Her most iconic move.
Sure. Now, would Eevee transform back into Eevee after evolving into Jolteon, Flareon,
no.
Vaporeon?
The tackle is how she transforms, actually.
Okay.
And, obviously the rest of her attacks will effectively be the same thing, no matter which transformation she has, but they'll produce slightly different effects based on, whether it's fire, water, electricity.
Right.
Or normal type.
That's basically the concept that I've had in mind for Eevee for a while now. Not like, I don't know how I feel about making everything tackle.
I think it'd be hilarious.
Kind of silly. It'd be kind of funny.
You could wrap other moves in her,
would also,
other attacks.
Well, yeah. I do think what I would do is have each special move correspond to a different evolution. So probably, if there's a new one in Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, Jolteon, Flareon, Vaporeon, and the new one.
Isn't it just a remake?
It isn't quite a remake. It's kind of a remake.
I mean, I figure they're going to have all the same Gen 1 Pokemon and such, aren't they? Same region, same basic plot, probably. Like, I'm not anticipating any new Pokemon, but then I'm not the Pokemon expert.
Tease a new Pokemon at the end of the trailer, and like, there's rumors going around that there's one new Pokemon, which would be disappointing. But if one happens, I'd guess it's a new evolution, probably a Dragon type, just based on the patterns that exist. But like, who knows? Maybe it's Gorochu. What I would do is have each special move be like a different typed move, not different tackles, because that's silly, but like different attacks that each of the forms do that, transform you permanently. I would say keep the A moves the same, but have different B move sets depending on your form, depending on your evolution. And when you like lose a stock and respawn, you're Eevee again. Essentially like a new Eevee. But that's, that's how I would do it.
No, I enjoy the silliness of my idea. I think it'd be hilarious. I think a lot of fans would appreciate it. But yeah, yours would be a more serious style.
I definitely would like to see Eevee in general. I don't think it'll happen.
Too many Gen 1. Too much Gen 1. Nope, no Eevee. Too much Gen 1. Why do people complain about that? Like, as a Pokemon fan, what perspective do you have on that? Because I don't understand. It seems like the Gen 1 ones are all the best.
The Gen 1 ones are not all the best, but they are the ones with the most history behind them and the most, like, advertising, and a lot of them are the most popular ones. So, like, it makes sense that there's a lot of Gen 1. Honestly, a lot of people, myself included, just plain like the other Pokemon generations. And there's a certain amount of bitterness when it comes to the groups of people who like tend to believe that Gen 1 is the best generation and that Pokemon post Gen 1 are not good. Like, those people are dumb and wrong.
Actually, when I was working my job at Firehouse Subs, I had two coworkers who would play Pokemon on their Game Boys, and one of them was like, yeah, I stopped paying attention. Anything after Gen 1 is trash. Like, once they released this ice cream Pokemon, I was like, nope.
I love the ice cream Pokemon. Ice cream Pokemon is my bae.
I mean, I actually think there are some cooler, more recent designs, like Aegislash.
Cool with regards to an ice type, so, I mean, like, Aegislash is cool, too. Anyway, a lot of people want the generational representation in Smash to be a little more balanced, and that makes sense to me, but is not like, obviously there are a lot of Gen 1 Pokemon besides Eevee who still warrant a spot in Smash.
And I mean, you can see the negative side of including modern generation Pokemon who haven't proven themselves in the likes of Greninja, who was probably one of the more forgettable Smash 4 newcomers.
I completely agree with that, although I think a lot of Pokemon fans might not. It seems like Greninja is actually still pretty popular, still like, or at least was up until like Gen 7, and everyone realized that Gen 6 wasn't all that it was cracked up to be.
I don't like that we have Mewtwo, Greninja, and Lucario. Like, I know they're not clones or anything, but they all have that same...
They have the same
kind
build.
of badass aesthetic.
Yeah, they have, like, Pokemon has...
Ninja-y kind of thing.
Pokemon has
with their projectile-based...
a lot more aesthetics than that, and I agree that having more diversity in the Pokemon cast would represent Pokemon better.
Like Eevee, with all her different transformations.
But, like, also, like, Gengar.
I'd be down for that.
Or Mew.
No Mew.
Why not Mew?
Ugh.
Mew would be cool.
We already have Mewtwo.
Yeah, and Mew would be completely and utterly different in every way.
No, but we don't need two. I don't want two versions of the same Pokemon. I don't need two, different evolutions of the same thing. Just no.
They're neither of those things, but okay.
Yeah, let's add Raichu while we're at it, you know? Just
I mean, we had Pichu and Pikachu in Melee.
And we
so
should not have had Pichu.
Pichu was
That was
great.
a terrible mistake. Plusle and Minun would have been better.
Plusle and Minun didn't exist when Melee was being made.
Oh no, it was Brawl that they were supposed to be in, wasn't it?
Brawl, like, almost had Plusle and Minun. Maybe it's arguable whether or not the thing that was found in the data actually was Plusle and Minun. Anyway.
Regardless, I would have taken them over Lucario.
Yeah, okay. I mean, Lucario sucks. I hate Lucario, but that's me as a Pokemon fan. I recognize that he's iconic enough to get into Smash, and he's forgivable enough in that context. Anyway, speaking of Pokemon, I did want to... We should briefly talk about the news that happened. After we...
Yes, what a glorious segue.
Right.
Talking about Eevee, now we're talking about Let's Go Eevee.
Right. We did briefly in our last episode touch upon whether or not the rumors of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee would be confirmed. And
that episode was actually released after it was confirmed.
It was
a little
edited,
outdated.
Finished, and released after the confirmation. But hey,
tragic.
Like, I had to teach myself how to edit audio, so...
And I had to teach myself how to edit video.
Exactly. So...
It's been a real rough week for both of us. We slave away for you listeners. All two of you out there.
So Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee were revealed, and I, at first, was excited.
Oh, we got a little change of heart?
A little change of heart, yeah. So...
Elaborate.
I liked the trailer. The trailer was beautiful. Co-op Pokemon? Awesome. Like, riding fucking Onyxes around and shit? Super cool.
Right.
Like, Return to Kanto, but now with no HMs, and, like, things are different. You know? It's not a remake because, like, the protagonists and story seem to differ. Like, I don't know how much it's gonna follow the plot of Pokemon Yellow, but, like, it definitely seems as though Red and Blue are going to be characters in this story that are not our protagonists, who are completely new characters. So that's at least one major story difference from Pokemon Yellow, which I'm happy to see that kind of thing too. I mean, when I was envisioning Pokemon Switch, what I was envisioning was essentially like Kanto, but Breath of the Wild style, and also like, you know, set after the events of Sun and Moon, essentially. Because Pokemon does have a timeline, just not a great one.
Right, but this isn't the core Pokemon title.
We
gotta acknowledge.
Yes.
Right.
There's
still hope.
That's kind of my issue. The thing that has made me disappointed with this game, the thing that makes me no longer as excited as I was, is that they've said that only the first 151 Pokemon are going to appear, which to me is baffling. There's no point in remaking Gen 1 again if they're not going to take the opportunity to essentially retcon the endemic species of Kanto, to make Kanto a more diverse region. Have like 300 Pokemon that you can catch in Kanto that are like, now in the future, this is what Kanto is like, with these species from other places having migrated here.
I don't know if I agree with that, because I just feel like 150, Pokemon, that's already a great quantity. And if it's a remake or a reimagining of the original Pokemon game, it makes sense that they keep it limited to Gen 1.
I mean, okay, so that makes sense. I understand the appeal of working with a more limited roster, and that's probably the only reason why they're able to do things like have
That's what Pokemon Go did.
Wandering around on the world map, and have Pokemon that you can ride around. And it is what Pokemon Go did, although now Pokemon Go is up to Gen 3, and they're adding
during
Alolan forms.
During its peak,
yeah,
it just had Gen 1.
You're right about that. But, like, having a limited roster is a fine thing, but they could have made it a different limited roster. If they had only 151 Pokemon, but some of them were not the original ones, like, who cares about Execute? Like, I care about Execute. I like Execute. But have, like, Mareeps there instead, why not? Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that would be fine, but I just think that, this should be expected. Like, it would be cool if they incorporated some of the later generations, but, I mean, anyone should have come into this, just expecting that we just have the original Pokemon and nothing else.
I don't think that's true at all. I mean, Pokemon has always been, building up. Even in Unova, which was kind of a soft reboot for the franchise, like, in Black and White, the Unova region only had the new Pokemon from the new Pokedex until the post-game. But the post-game had all the other Pokemon. They were all implemented in the game. It does not seem as though, like, Klefki is going to be found in the game's data, is going to be tradable, importable, battleable, online, anything, which sucks. Especially because Gen 1's dex is not very balanced. It's heavily weighted in favor of Psychic being the most powerful type in the game. And there's, like, no dark types and one steel type and, like, a couple of fairy types. Because it predates those types.
Right. And you're obviously a very hardcore Pokemon fan.
You're right about that.
To be this opinionated. And, we got to keep in mind, this is a spin-off.
You're right
reaching
about
out
that.
to the casual audience, the Pokemon Let's Go audience. It's not really for you. Like, you can play it and it might interest you, but you aren't its target demographic.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Exactly.
I also play Pokemon Go on the regular, so, like, I am its target demographic because I'm all Pokemon
Well, now
fans.
you are, because, like, you're all that supports... You're all that's supporting Pokemon Go now. The core fans are what matters now, but during its peak, it was mostly just casuals who'd never touched a Pokemon game.
Right, I guess so. I didn't play it during its peak, so... Anyway, that's my hot take on Pokemon Let's Go. I was excited at first. I think adding Pokemon Go elements is fine. Like, add stuff, just don't remove everything from the game, please.
Right.
It's possible that it's another Fire Red Leaf Green situation where the original 151 are the only ones present in, like, the, core gameplay experience, but you can trade a slack off from your Pokemon Go or your Pokebank, Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Oh, they did say there'd be interaction between Pokemon Go and Let's Go, so yeah, maybe they'll let you get some of the later generations.
Which, like, is cool. Pokemon Go is cool, by the way. I don't know if you, in the audience have touched Pokemon Go since it kind of fell off the face of the planet.
Well, okay, maybe not.
It's kind of become awesome now. There's, like, raid battles and Gen 3's in it. There's weather. It's way different. Anyway...
I would give Pokemon Go the award of best iPhone game.
I kind of agree with that sentiment, actually.
Like, what else has achieved its lofty heights?
Angry Birds?
People, no. Maybe in terms of downloads, but like people going out into the streets,
Candy Crush
to play Angry Birds.
Right.
People meeting up and befriending each other.
Right.
Just out in parks and stuff playing Angry Birds. No. Pokemon Go was a phenomenon unlike anything else
You're
we've seen come out of
right.
these apps. Anyway, so I actually had a bit of a change of heart myself.
Okay.
I thought initially I was very underwhelmed by it because I was under the false impression that it was the Pokemon Switch game, the core title we've been waiting for. So to me, this thing looked very underwhelming. Like, I wanted the Breath of the Wild Pokemon 2. And, I'm not a big graphics whore, but the visuals, I was just like, well, this just looks like an upscaled 3DS game.
Right.
Like, this looks like it could be on the 3DS. Like, the shot at the end with Mewtwo, it's very rough looking.
I don't care about graphics at all. It looked fine.
It looks fine at points, but it's still not, that next step. Like, oh, this is huge. This is the big HD Pokemon. But then, I found out, oh, it's a spin-off. The core title is still releasing next year. It could be this Breath of the Wild Pokemon that would get someone like me, who isn't that interested in the franchise as it is, into the game.
Right.
By really innovating with it. So,
and I mean,
Let's Go looks fine to me now.
There are a lot of innovations in Let's Go. Like, co-op simultaneous play is crazy. That's awesome.
Is that just couch co-op, though?
Yes.
Do we know?
But, like, couch co-op is the good kind of co-op, so...
True, but, it's just... With their online service coming out, nice to take advantage of it, give us more reason to pay for it.
On the other hand, they've said this in an interview, well, you can have, like, different accounts on different Switch accounts, like, different save files, which is the first time a Pokemon game has had multiple save files on a single console. What you can't do is trade or battle between different accounts on the same Switch. You need multiple Switches to do that, which is...
That's good. Yeah.
I don't think that's good at all. It's disappointing to me.
No cheating the system.
On the one hand, sure, but, like, also, families own one Nintendo Switch that everyone uses. And, like, I would like to trade Pokemon with my sibling, you know?
I see where you're coming from.
I guess Nintendo is kind of trying
to want to sell Switches.
3DS. They want to get, like, 3DS kind of mobility on the Switch, which,
of course,
like, at its current price point, won't happen. Completely ludicrous to expect. If the Switch was, like, $250...
Now, hold on.
$200...
Isn't there a separate version of the Switch they released in Japan that doesn't come with a dock? It's, like, purely portable.
I did hear about that, yeah.
I think we could see something like that could effectively help it reach that 3DS state.
I could see that. Especially if it's like, you know, a family has one Switch with dock and then 3 Switches without docks that use the same dock, because you can just put any Switch into a Switch dock and it'll work, because that's how the Switch works.
Like, honestly, the games look great, even not on the big screen, even just looking at the Switch screen itself. True. So you don't need the dock. I barely use it myself. I'm always just curled up in bed within a few inches from my face, so
right.
It's not much of a loss.
Anyway, do you want to talk about our main topic while we have another half hour of recording to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So our main topic this week is going to be this week, as if we have like a consistent weekly schedule yet, is going to be like leaks and rumors that have been going around. So I figured I'd start things off with some insider information that I acquired. I was listening to this radio show where Masahiro Sakurai was a guest, and he said that Ice Climbers and Mr. Game & Watch and Young Link would be cut in favor of Ridley and Bowser Jr. and Cell-Shaded Link.
Bullshit. Bullshit. My uncle works at Nintendo, guys, and he says that Girahim is going to be in the game. So, you know, that's confirmed.
The leak that I just described was one that seriously gained traction and was believed by people during Brawl's pre-release days.
God, people are morons.
Yeah. Like, yeah, Sakurai just went on the radio, and you were the only one who heard it, and he spoiled a bunch of Smash things in advance. Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay.
Why would Sakurai be on the radio? Like, what?
What?
I don't. Is this a Japanese person at least? Is this?
Nope.
Or maybe it came from a Japanese side or something. Or...
No.
Just some Westerner.
Yup.
Who happened to pick up those radio waves Sakurai was sending out from Japan.
I mean, like, yeah. Sakurai, who doesn't speak English, said in English on the radio that he was replacing, specifically replacing Ice Climbers, Mr. Game & Watch, and Young Link with Ridley, Bowser Jr., and Cell-Shaded Link.
I think that even 8-year-old me, who was keeping up with a pre-release Brawl, would not have fallen for that. So shame on you for all of you older people who did.
Right.
That's just pathetic.
But what I want to illustrate with this is kind of a broader point about how the Smash community interacts with leaks and or rumors, because I find it fascinating the way that, like, creating a quote-unquote leak has become this kind of art form of one-upsmanship that I find incredibly fascinating.
Didn't you did the mini kangaroo leak, right?
I did. I did during Smash 4's late pre-release. I did try my hand at a few, very obviously fake text-based leaks. Not only one for Mini Kangaroo, I think my actually best work was a fake stage list that I did based on the actual, like, file names of the stages in the series' history. What eventually got me found out was that I used Pushmo instead of pull blocks for a pretend Pushmo stage, which didn't end up happening. Why the fuck wasn't there a Pushmo stage in Smash 4?
I mean, I don't think that's super high priority, you know?
Why not?
I mean, it could be cool, but that's not really something that strikes me as terribly necessary. But then we got Wrecking Crew.
Right.
Like, who cares about that stage?
We got Find Me.
No, that was a good stage. You shut your mouth. That was a good stage, and it was a big feature on the 3DS when it first came out. That was awesome. That was the best stage on the 3DS. Like, the Dark Lord is a stage boss in the layout.
Okay,
and, like, the little cage that swings back. I had so much fun on that stage playing with my friends in high school.
I did not realize... I did not realize that you were so attached to the Find Me stage.
That's the best Smash 4 stage. I never played
the 3DS version, so I didn't actually know if it was a good stage or not.
Yeah, don't use that as an example. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's alright.
I'm very passionate about the Find Me stage.
You are.
And the music was the bees baller knees, if I can steal your phrase.
When the fuck did I say that?
You said that last episode.
Oh my god. What the hell? So, there are some rumors that have been going around with regards to Super Smash Brothers, the one that we don't know the name of yet. That's wild. That's still wild to me that we don't know the name of it yet. Watch them not even reveal the title at E3. That'd be fucking
I think
funny.
We might know the name of it already. It might just be Super Smash Bros.
I could see it. I'd be okay with it.
Like, I could see a rebranding, or like a reboot of sorts almost. Like, this idea that we're going to have less characters and they're going to totally redo it. I don't think that's completely out of the question.
I think the idea that we'll have less characters is out of the question, but the idea that the roster will suffer heavy changes and it will be kind of a soft reboot, I'd be okay with that. As long as it gets fucking Sheik out of my face.
Oh god, I hate Sheik. Just replace her with Impa. She's irrelevant.
Like, I like her moveset, and I like her in Zelda, but like, why the hell is Sheik still on the roster?
Like, what really offends me to my core is that she's on the character selection screen.
Right.
Like, a fifth of the Zelda representation on that screen is Sheik. Like, I would be okay if we had Impa and Sheik, and Impa was her own separate thing, while Sheik was either an alt costume or Zelda's transformation again. But you can't have both on the screen. That just drives me nuts.
Now let me... So it's the fact that both of them are Zelda that bothers you. It's not the fact that Sheik is, like, balls
No, that's
old.
definitely a part of it. That's definitely a part of it. But, like, if she's just a transformation of Zelda's moveset, it's less of an issue.
Yeah.
Or if she's just an alt of Impa or whatever, you know, that's less egregious.
I definitely feel as though, like, keeping Sheik around but removing Squirtle and Ivysaur is silly in, like, a very obvious way.
You're right.
But, like,
I mean,
also Sheik is popular among Smash fans, so she's probably
that's
not
the
going
problem.
anywhere.
Yeah, and if we'd probably be complaining if they cut Sheik and they still gave us such lackluster Zelda content.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about the rumors that have been going around? I think first we should talk about Ridley, because last episode we, like, very briefly touched upon the giant purple elephant in the room.
Yes,
but
the giant purple space dragon elephant in the room.
But we did not actually discuss any of the reasons why we believe it to be a possibility, given the track record.
I think
of
it's not
Ridley.
only a possibility, I think it's a probability.
Like, yeah. So, it's a little silly for us to believe that, you realize. Like, last Smash game...
I don't agree.
Last Smash game, there was this huge, like... Oh, Sakurai's teasing Ridley. This is Ridley's last shot. Oh, he's a boss. Oh, I guess Ridley is never gonna be in Smash. And then this game, we're like, yeah, Ridley could probably make it in. Like, it
okay, but
feels like an about face to me, based on how I felt about it.
But think about, was the disappointment of Ridley not being in not at its peak after Smash 4?
Like,
I think that was the peak of the disappointment that Ridley wasn't included.
Like, I guess, which means it can only go down when he's not included again. Now we're expecting.
And we have Metroid Prime coming up. I would think that Ridley would be included in that. And Ridley's maintained consistent popularity. I think the real fools are the people who are certain that Ridley will never get in, just because Sakurai hasn't put him in Smash 4
right
or Brawl.
I mean,
because Sakurai goes back, he changes his mind, and at this point, we don't have a lot of newcomers left. At least first-party ones that have huge fan support. Ridley is one of the few options for huge crowd pleasers that we have.
Right.
Ridley, K. Rool, and Waluigi. They're the Triforce. The Triforce of most wanted Smash newcomers.
Right. I mean, there are a lot of good reasons to add Ridley. I'm not denying that. There's been good reasons to add Ridley since Melee.
Ridley's in the clouds, guys.
Ridley is in the clouds.
He was not in the clouds.
No, he was definitely in the clouds.
Even with that GIF that outlined it out that we looked at, it's still, it's bullshit. Those are just clouds.
I mean, they were clouds that definitely shaped all of the major villains in the Subspace Emissary.
No, they vaguely shaped them. Ganondorf didn't look right. Ridley looked off.
Didn't look great.
Bowser looked strange too. It's a stretch.
Hand, though. Master Hand looked great.
Yes, it looked like Master Hand, but Master Hand
is a hand.
You could easily read into that with the clouds.
Right.
But whatever.
Anywho.
It's a Rorschach. It's the Smash Bros. Rorschach test.
Is that how you pronounce it?
I'm not sure. The Inkbot thing. You know what I'm talking about.
I know. Rorschach.
Rorschach? I don't think that's it. But
it's
whatever.
Definitely that.
I don't think it is.
Okay, maybe it's Rorschach.
The Inkbot thing.
Yes.
The thingy where you look at a butterfly. Yes.
It's a butterfly then.
Therapist approved. Anyway, can we... What Ridley. Good reasons Ridley's going to be in.
So, there's honestly very little to justify why I'm so... I definitely feel as though Ridley has a good shot to appear at E3. I feel as though if Ridley does not appear at this E3... Ridley's not playable. He would be at this E3 if he's in the game. There's no conceivable reason why they would save him, especially because there's only going to be one E3 for this Smash.
Is E3... I know E3 is a very American thing, a very Western thing, but do Japanese gamers... Is that a big deal to them too?
I mean, it's when Nintendo does all their reveals all the time.
I guess you got a point. I was thinking maybe
Nintendo does usually have some presence at the Tokyo Game Show, but it's not nearly as big as their E3 presence. I don't know about how Japanese civilians feel about it, because I'm not one of those, but Nintendo obviously prioritizes E3.
I guess you're right. If Ridley's not there, he's not in.
Right. I mean, he's gonna be in the game. It's just a matter of whether or not he's, a boss again.
A boss. Yeah.
Which, I like having bosses. Ridley is a good boss. He'd just also make sense to be playable, because he has, the
at this point, I think
he'd
be a bland boss. He's been a boss twice. There are way better Metroid enemies to choose from. Give me Kraid.
Phantoon.
Yes, Phantoon, sure. Sure. Make Ridley playable, Sakurai.
The reason why I'm kind of leaning towards Ridley will be shown this E3 is because there have been a lot of rumors surrounding him. There's always a lot of rumors surrounding him, but these ones are very here's this kind of respected, insider information sometimes having person saying, yeah, Ridley's in the game. And here's this other person completely unrelatedly who's in a similar situation saying the same thing. And here's this other leak that has Ridley in it. And here's this other one. And obviously not all of these people are trustworthy, but when it comes to leaks like this, the more notable people who are saying the same thing, Like, that's how Mario and Rabbids was, right? Like, a lot of different people were like, yeah, no, Mario and Rabbids is legit. And eventually we just kind of had to accept that Mario and Rabbids was coming.
I mean, I'm of the mind, I've said it before, but I'm of the mind that Mario and Rabbids happened despite the internet collectively scoffing at it. So anything could happen. Like, my bar for skepticism is so low right now.
Right.
I won't dismiss anything out of hand.
Yeah. So, like, I think Emily Rogers is one of the people who's been saying Ridley, right? Or is that...
She was the big one saying Mario and Rabbids too, but yeah.
Right. So, like, that's... But then there's also Verjaben, who not only says one very trustworthy source says Ridley, he's also got a second kind of newer source who's saying that the full Smash 4 roster will return, and that we'll also see Ice Climbers, Simon, and he's actually updated it to say that Snake will also appear, which, to me, that makes sense. Simon without Snake wouldn't make sense to me. How do you feel about Verjaben's trustworthiness with regards to that, keeping in mind that he's had kind of an on and off track record? He leaked the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for Injustice 2, but he's also said some things that he was misinformed about before. He generally plays with his hands up, says, like, this source told me this other source told me this. I only have what I'm told.
I mean, I think Ridley's a probability. And I think that if Simon gets in, and I think he's a likely third-party newcomer, if we get a Konami rep, then Snake is also likely to get in.
Right.
So I'm inclined to believe it. And to be honest, this is kind of a good segue, because Simon, Ridley, and Snake are all included in the Heroes versus Villains leak. I actually have that pulled up right now with the different characters that are said to be included.
Let's talk about what happened with this leak. It was just like a guy posted an Imgur album, like hinting at newcomers, and then later just posted a list because people weren't getting it, and like disappeared off the face of the planet after that. Is that the gist of it?
Yes, somewhat, I think.
Yeah. So, well, give me this newcomer list.
Okay. You want to just go through them one by one and like discuss each of the characters?
Sure.
First, we have Ice Climbers.
Right. I think guaranteed.
Yeah. Yeah. Then we have Mimikyu.
I think Mimikyu has a great chance. And
me too.
And
I'd love it.
I would love to see Mimikyu. Mimikyu or Nihilego are the Gen 7 Pokemon I want to see. I'd be fine with Decidueye, which is what most people seem to be expecting for some reason. But Mimikyu has more staying power. Decidueye feels like a flavor of the month choice. Feels like Greninja. Feels like... I don't feel like Decidueye should stay for 2 Smash games.
I don't even feel like
Mimikyu is an icon.
Him.
Mimikyu is like already like on so much merch, he's not going anywhere.
Right, and when you see people talking about Decidueye in regards to Smash, it doesn't even seem like people like him particularly. It just seems like he's totally happening.
Right.
Because he's the Greninja of this generation.
Which, like, people also were like, Sceptile will be DLC for Smash 4 because we don't have a grass starter yet.
Right.
Which baffled me even then. Like, no, he won't.
And now people are saying Decidueye has to be in so we have a grass starter.
Right.
You know?
Which, like, a lot of people have taken to adjusting the viewpoint from, like, there will be a grass starter to fill this niche, to, there will be a grass starter because grass is a cool Pokemon type that isn't in Smash. Which, like, I get.
Right.
I would love to have a plant-themed character in Smash.
What happened to Ivysaur? I loved Ivysaur. He was the best of the 3.
I like Ivysaur, too. I like Project M Ivysaur a lot, actually. That Solar Beam, though.
I mean, I didn't play Project M.
That's fair.
So, next character?
Yeah, sure.
Elma.
Elma, I think, has a pretty solid chance. I only expect one Xenoblade newcomer, but if Rex and Pyra are too new, then Elma's it.
Yeah, you're always talking about how 2016, around that time, is the time Sakurai would have decided the roster.
I actually do have definitive evidence that the roster was almost definitely fully decided by December of 2016.
What is that?
He did an interview where he around December 2016 where he was talking about essentially how he keeps his workplace and his like toy collections and stuff. And one of the things he mentioned was that mecha figure that he bought for his current project, which he like kind of hinted at. It's Smash. We know it was Smash. He hasn't worked on anything between Smash and Smash. And that was in December of 2016. He was buying toys using them for reference in 2016, which to me says that the game was in development because that's how he develops characters.
I mean, that doesn't really prove that the roster was finalized at that time. But yeah, that would have been the time that he was thinking about it. God damn it.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Do you not want the roster
like
to have been
Eevee's not going to be it?
Oh,
it's
Eevee
like,
has no
Eevee.
chance. Yeah, that I was going to mention earlier that Pokemon Let's Go is not going to influence the roster.
Unless. I mean, we know Sakurai goes to the Pokemon Company in advance for their recommendations. Like, how far ahead were they planning on doing Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, you know?
Here's the thing about that. You're right that he does do that. He probably had the roster mostly finalized before Sun and Moon came out in 2016. Yeah. So
but this is Smash Switch, and we know they're going to want to, you know, push for that Pokemon Switch. Like, maybe, I just think maybe
I mean, do we
they
know that?
knew what they were going to do. Maybe they knew what they were going to do with Pikachu and Eevee, and they let Sakurai know.
Maybe.
I admit
maybe.
I admit it
find
doesn't look
unlikely.
likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on from Elma.
Chorus Kids.
I think the Chorus Kids stand a good shot. We should talk about Gematsu while we're here, huh? Oh boy.
That's such a massive time sink.
It sure is. So the Gematsu leak, essentially a guy from Gematsu posted on a forum before the first Smash 4 trailer that he was expecting to see an Animal Crossing character, Mega Man, the Wii Fit trainer, Pac-Man, Little Mac, and Mies. And at that E3, Villager, Mega Man, and most surprisingly, Wii Fit trainer, who nobody else had predicted, were confirmed, and the other three did eventually get confirmed as well. Which, like, that leak was real. That was later revealed by Sal Romano to be like, I just posted that on a whim because someone sent me it and I didn't really believe them, but I wanted to be able to prove I was right in case it was true. And it was.
Nobody could have predicted.
Nobody could have.
You know. And hey, a lot of people don't believe it because he said Crom and Chorus Kids were in, and neither of them were. But we have it confirmed.
That was the second part of the leak that was what Palutena, Crom, a Gen 7 or a Gen 6 Pokemon, Shulk, and Chorus Kids. Was that the?
I believe so.
There might have been one other character that I can't place. Anyway, Crom, we know for a fact was at one point considered, but scrapped in favor of Robin.
Yes.
And there is evidence in the game's code to suggest that a Rhythm Heaven character was at one point considered.
And we had a Rhythm character Smash Run enemy originally. We found files for those.
Like, the Smash Run enemy's in there. Sneaky Spirit's in Smash Run.
Oh, I didn't realize it made it into the final copy. Yeah. So, yeah.
And that, and the polar...
And I think that's the only...
The polar bear from Ice Climber is the only other unrepresented with a character Smash Run enemy.
So basically, you're an idiot if you don't think that Chorus Kids were playing to be in
Chorus
Smash
Kids
4.
were at one
is
point
what you're getting at.
Considered for Smash 4. Like, I don't want to say that people listening to this show are idiots, necessarily. You can lie in that puddle yourself, but I do feel as though Chorus Kids are a possibility to return, or to appear, to be in consideration again. It's possible that some other Rhythm Heaven character will be chosen in their place, but Chorus Kids makes sense because they have internal timing. Like, a rhythm-heaven character would have to deal with rhythm.
Right.
And there's no real way to do that with just a guy, like Karate Joe, for example. Unless you're using the stage music, but if you're not listening to it, then rhythm is meaningless.
I mean, if I had to have a trio of characters with a rhythm-based moveset, I would much rather the Elite Beat Agents. But that will never happen.
It sure won't.
Moving on to Takamaru.
Okay. Takamaru, I find unlikely. I find Takamaru very unlikely.
Me too.
Takamaru was, like, talked about a lot for Smash 4 because, like, there was a Nintendo Land minigame, which, like, is not much.
I mean, it's more than King Watanga
Yeah.
being referenced to Mario Maker, but,
It wasn't just a reference. He was, like, a fightable boss. The whole game, Nat Attack, was in Mario Maker. That's a lot more than what Takamaru got. He didn't even appear in the Nintendo Land game. He appeared, like, on the wall outside of the Nintendo Land minigame.
Yeah.
But Nazo no Murasamajo did get its English release, finally. Not that many people bought it. But, like, Sakurai's been saying since Melee, and he repeated it again for Smash 4, that if Takamaru got a new game, if he was, like, relevant again, then he'd probably get in Smash. But he doesn't have that.
Yeah, and he also said that he didn't think his moveset was too terribly... No, he said he didn't think Takamaru was quite popular enough, which is why he didn't include him. But also the moveset would probably be pretty
moveset would be pretty bland, I agree. And, like, there are better retro picks. There are a lot of better retro picks. Anyway.
Yeah, Takamaru definitely seems more like an assist trophy to me. So we can move on. I don't think we have much to say here, but Dixie Kong?
Yeah. Dixie Kong's in the game.
Yeah.
Dixie Kong's canon.
No,
I wouldn't go that far. I think she's in the game. Dixie Kong's in the game.
There's a good chance.
Like,
could be
Dixie Kong and Isabella.
I think there's a DK newcomer.
The only characters I'm, like, so completely certain of are Dixie Kong and Isabelle.
Okay, see, both of those characters have reasons not to be certain.
What reasons for Dixie Kong can you think of? Why would Dixie Kong not appear?
K. Rool. Like,
K.
I think
Rool
we're getting
hasn't
a DK
appeared
newcomer.
in years and years and years. Dixie Kong just had a big...
part of the trifecta of most wanted Smash newcomers. Like, people want him.
Dixie Kong...
He's got popularity going for him.
Please. As if Dixie Kong is not popular.
We know he scored high on the ballot.
We also know that Dixie Kong scored high on the ballot.
Do we know that?
Dixie Kong was hugely popular at the time. A lot of... Like, in terms of self-reporting...
K. Rool got a costume.
Okay, he got a costume. So did Black Knight.
Did Dixie Kong get a costume? Okay, but did Dixie Kong get a costume?
You're right that she didn't.
I don't think so. Like, I'm thinking that would imply maybe K. Rool is a little higher on the pecking order in terms of popularity.
Or it means that K. Rool is a little less realizable as his own character, and therefore can just be a Mii costume and not a character.
You wouldn't be saying that if Dixie Kong got a Mii costume.
I probably would not. Anyway, Cranky is my most wanted DK newcomer, so I barely even have a horse in this race. I just hate K. Rool. Anyway, moving on from Dixie.
Who do we have here? Wolf. Could happen.
Definitely
especially
happening.
Since Star Fox Zero.
Not only is Wolf definitely...
Don't commit yourself.
I'm so committing myself.
You understand this is going on the internet permanently.
I know.
Like, don't commit yourself.
Not only is Wolf getting in, I think there's a solid chance we'll get a Star Fox newcomer as well as Wolf. Star Fox Zero came out at just the right time for Smash consideration. And just the right time for its backlash to not have even been a register on the Sakurai's mind. The Sakurai.
I think that we're going to have an episode where we go back and see what each of us have said.
I completely
so we can judge
agree.
Just how wrong we were.
I think that sounds fun.
Yes.
Anyway,
Wolf, whatever. We both agree he's likely. Ridley, we already discussed Ridley.
Sure.
K. Rool.
I find K. Rool unlikely. But we should save that for another time.
And we already sort of discussed
a little bit.
No, I don't like this next one. Medusa. I understand that she's like her, Pit, and Palutena are like the big trio of legacy Kid Icarus characters.
And Eggplant Wizard.
And in that sense, I could understand her. And who?
Eggplant Wizard.
Eggplant Wizard. Thanatos too, but what little that counts for.
I think Medusa has not had a game since Smash 4. I don't think we're gonna see a Kid Icarus Uprising character because Kid Icarus Uprising came out before Smash 4 started development and got all of its representation in Smash 4.
Sakurai bias.
I don't think Sakurai bias is a real thing. I mean, like, okay, yeah, it's...
No, obviously there's some bias, like the Kirby characters, like the Emissary being Kirby characters, save Nintendo.
Like, in terms of things besides just roster choices, I think you could say that there's, like, Sakurai is comfortable with the characters he's created and
roster choices
careful
too.
with the characters that he didn't create. So, like...
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Do you think that the Smash fan base at large would have rather have had Dark Pit as a clone or Alf as a clone? Because we know Alf didn't make it as a clone because of time constraints. Like, that's obvious Sakurai bias.
I agree with that. But, like, also clones... I don't fucking care about clones.
I mean, sure.
Like, clones do not... I'd
still argue Sakurai bias, not just in terms of newcomers that get in, but who doesn't. Like the Zelda franchise, Sakurai obviously isn't the most, learned on. Because we haven't had a proper Zelda newcomer since Melee.
I think that the idea of, like... The idea of Sakurai bias, like, frames all of this as being, like, malicious, or at the very least, like...
Oh, no, I don't hate the guy for it, like some people do.
Or, like, at the very least, it's, like, insulting. Like, he tries not to be biased. But also, like... Sometimes. But also, like, why does it matter if he's, doing characters that he's more familiar with? He's, working with what he knows.
Because, it makes the game less of a satisfactory product to the general populace. Like,
I suppose.
We're getting way off topic here. Medusa was the subject.
I don't think Medusa has a chance in hell.
Regardless of a chance, the way I feel like it is, if she were more of a presence in Uprising,
right,
then I would be down for her, but Hades totally stole the show. She wasn't a particularly interesting villain in Uprising. She was probably one of the few uninteresting characters.
Yeah.
She was very bland and straight-edged. I can't imagine a Kid Icarus villain getting in that isn't Hades or Reedy.
I can't imagine a new Kid Icarus character getting in.
Sakurai bias.
But
anyway.
That's not a reason for it. Sakurai's bias has always been for characters with new recent games between the times when Smash 4... But, like, every character who appeared as a newcomer in Brawl, except for, like, retros and third parties, had a major release in between the beginning of development for Melee and the beginning of development for Brawl. And except for Lucario, because his came during the development of Brawl. And the same goes for Smash 4, but Greninja instead of Lucario. Like, it's always... He's always choosing characters from new games, and there has not been...
Switch port.
Like, that game has not come out yet, and so was not in development at a point where it could have been considered for Smash. I don't think there's any chance at all that we will see a new Kid Icarus character. I could be wrong.
All right, you've said it. You've said it, and we're going to come back and analyze it.
We can come back later. If Medusa's in the game, I'm wrong, and I'll accept that.
If any Kid Icarus character is a newcomer, you're wrong.
Sure,
but that's all right.
Well,
sure.
Hold on. I should specify non-clone. If, like, Hades gets in as a Ganondorf clone without Ganondorf getting decloned, which would be hilarious, by the way.
Oh my god. That would be so nuts.
Then
throw Black Shadow in there too.
Yeah, sure. Just all of them. Speaking of, isn't Samurai Goro also in this leak?
Yes, he was 2 people down from where we were.
Oh, okay.
I think... Does anyone really want another F-Zero character?
No.
Like, there's Black Shadow just so we can take Ganondorf's moveset, but...
I mean, so F-Zero fans want anything. F-Zero fans want to be thrown any kind of bone. And honestly, the F-Zero cast is great. It's okay.
Is Samurai Goro one of the more interesting ones, though?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No, he's like... Dude, this is like sci-fi
Too
futuristic.
many Thor wielders.
Okay, sure. In the Smash context, sure. In an F-Zero context, Samurai Goro's fucking cool. He's just like a random samurai who's just there in this high-tech racing future.
Gotta get back. Anyway.
Gotta get back to the past, Samurai Goro. That's funny.
Yes.
I don't... Like, of the possible F-Zero newcomers, Samurai Goro is definitely the best option. Yeah.
I don't know.
Who else would
The Skull Dude or Mr. EAD, I think I'd...
I guess in terms of,
More
like,
interesting.
moveset potential, the Skull or maybe Pico would be pretty slick.
Skeletor.
But, like,
Yes.
Samurai Goro has been a presence since the beginning of the F-Zero franchise. He's Captain Falcon's rival. He has the importance to be...
I mean, he has the importance. I just don't think he has much else.
You're right about that.
I mean, even his assist trophy is one of the blander ones.
Right. Also, like, Takamaru and Samurai Goro, yuck. Yuck, yuck, yuck.
Oh, God. No. No.
Like, one samurai is, like, kind of a unique fighting style. Two samurai?
But even then, me Sword Fighter already has elements of that with the chakram
Yeah.
and the shurikens.
Absolutely
Like-
correct. I think both Samurai Goro and Takamaru would make great Mii Sword Fighter costumes.
Oh, God. Imagine if Lin were on this leak.
Ugh.
That's like 3 katana. Yeah. Okay, anyway. Porky Minch.
Okay, so we did talk about Porky last episode. You brought him as
Right.
your
I
character.
think we're both very much in favor of him.
Like, again, it's so weird that this... Like, part of why I don't believe this leak is because there's so many characters who haven't had a game and don't seem to have a future. Like, Kid Icarus doesn't have a future unless Sakurai picks it back up again. It doesn't look like anyone else is going to do that, to me.
In this leak's defense, like,
And
for this to be the case, Sakurai would have had to decide early on, we're going to do a heroes versus villains game. And that we don't have a lot of villains. There's not a huge
okay,
pool to grasp from like the heroes. So
But,
you would
like-
have to pick characters that aren't as relevant.
but where's Waluigi, though?
Debatably not a villain. And,
No,
you know,
he is
we don't-
definitely a villain.
Not really. I mean, he's like...
Dude, did you play Dance Dance Revolution Mario Mix?
Okay. No, I did not.
Me neither, but I know he was the main villain of that game.
Like, you could pass him off as a villain. On the villain side, sure, but Sakurai... Well, I like to think that Waluigi has a good chance, but I wouldn't be shocked if he weren't in.
I would
'cause
not
he
be
just has a
shocked
rough
either.
history.
But, like,
And-
for a heroes versus villains roster, I think he would definitely appear.
I don't think he would definitely appear.
He would appear over K. Rool.
No. No!
Yeah.
But you think
Waluigi's
big
more
Nintendo villains that
popular
aren't
and-
in... Stop.
Waluigi's
Yes,
more
but if you
popular.
think big Nintendo villains that aren't in Smash Bros, you don't think of Waluigi before K. Rool, because Waluigi hardly even registers as a villain.
Okay. Maybe.
There's no Mario newcomer at all, unless you
Weird.
count Geno and Mallow.
Right. Which, like, honestly, Geno paired with Mallow would be better than just Geno for me.
I don't think so. I think Mallow is incredibly lame
What?
and was easily the worst part of Super Mario RPG.
Dude, fuck off.
I would rather just Geno as a standalone character, especially because that's what fans have been asking for, you know?
Geno and Mallow bring something interesting to the table, though. It brings something new. Also,
Do they?
Mallow is, like, a great character. He was, like, the best part of Mario RPG. What the fuck are you talking about? He had the
no,
best story arc. Do you think
no,
Geno, who is, like, fucking DeviantArt
Yeah, but
OC
Geno
the
is cool.
character, he's
Yeah, but Geno's
cool
cool.
and nothing else.
Mallow is lame.
Mallow
Like,
is a weak, pathetic
he has more of a
crybaby.
story arc, but he doesn't have a lot of one.
He has
Like,
a
it's
huge
not
story
enough
arc.
that I'm actually impressed by the character, and his design and personality and moveset
The
is just so
entire,
lame.
like, tadpole / Nimbus thing. It's like he has a whole thing where he, like, figures out who he is and learns to be less of a whiny bitch.
It's very shallow.
In the same way that every
It's
Square
surface
Enix
level.
game is very shallow because it's Square fucking Enix. But like in terms of Mario plots, Mallow has the most fleshed out.
Can we talk
character
about
arc.
likeliness? Like, do we believe this is?
No, not at all.
Yeah, me
in
neither.
fact,
Like,
there was apparently someone who works at Square Enix who was like, "Oh, there's a character in this leak who I know for a fact isn't in the game."
okay.
So it's might have been.
I hope that's not a Geno disconfirmation.
There's also Sora here, who is owned by Disney.
It's not happening.
Not happening at all.
That's too much of a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, like
Disney no. I don't understand the Sora support. Like, he doesn't even have that much support. But
I mean, like, I understand.
if I want a
it.
Disney character, I'll take Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck or Goofy, like
Right.
any of those other main Kingdom Hearts characters. I don't need Sora.
I mean, like,
I don't need this DeviantArt OC Sora.
If I was gonna get a Disney character, I'd obviously want it to be Scrooge McDuck.
Yes. Absolutely.
Or Wreck-It Ralph.
No, that's stupid.
No.
You should be ashamed of
Wreck-It
yourself.
Ralph is stupid, but Scrooge McDuck is
Shut
fine.
up. No. Yes, because Scrooge McDuck has actual video game
Kermit
history.
the Frog.
Like, DuckTales was a big thing.
Spider-Man. Darth Vader.
No. Stop. No more.
Okay. Anyway, these are a bunch of characters who I think are about as likely as Sora.
Yeah. Simon Belmont.
Is on this... I think we can dismiss this list, honestly. Like...
I mean, I think so,
yeah.
too.
Like, it's definitely clearly, like, taking Vergeben's thing and being like, here's a bunch more stuff. Also, Heroes versus Villains, is not, like, that cohesively addressed by this list, and B, is not even a great theme for a roster, and is not how Sakurai designs rosters at all.
I disagree on that second point. Like, we don't have enough villains. Come on. Like, yeah, this would be amazing to give us more villains.
Like, sure.
And the villain side of this is legitimate in a lot of ways. Like Ridley, K. Rool, Porky, like...
Where's King Hippo?
Hell yes. King Hippo?
King Hippo.
Fuck King Hippo.
No, King Hippo would be sweet.
No.
I'm gonna bring King Hippo as my character for the next 6 episodes in a row until you decide that King Hippo would be super awesome.
Good luck thinking of 6 different moveset concepts.
I will have good luck doing that.
No.
Was there anyone else on this list that you wanted to...
It's Belmont and Snake that were the last ones, and we already sort of addressed them.
Yeah.
So...
I guess I do want to talk about one more thing before we close off here. Actually, I want to talk about 2 more things before we close off here. Whoops! The first is whether or not this game is a port, because that's something that's been talked about in the same breath as
it
these
obviously
rumors.
is not.
I agree completely. But to what degree is it a port or not is kind of a weird question that a bunch of people have been asking.
There are 2 possibilities.
Okay.
Either we're reusing the assets and engine from Smash 4,
Boo.
and maybe we'll get a lot more content. Maybe we'll get a lot more content, though. Like more newcomers in adventure mode, more stages.
I don't want them to reuse the engine. I didn't like the engine.
I don't want it either.
I like
it fine. I think it's okay.
I want a new one. I want them to do a new one every time.
Me too. I agree. That's the other option. I agree. I'd like to see it actually. I want it to feel like a new step forward.
But like also new assets. Like I don't want... Like, I get that Link and Mario will get changes to match, like, Breath of the Wild and Odyssey, but I don't want fucking Peach to have the exact same moveset. I want her to have some changes, some tweaks, become just a little different. The way that every Smash character has changed and evolved through every Smash game, always.
I mean, I don't know if I'd have used Peach as the example.
I don't know about Peach. I mean, like, Peach has changed. Peach got major changes from Melee to Brawl and major changes from Brawl to Smash 4. Not like major, not like a complete overhaul, but she got like different effects, a couple different moves. You know, I want that kind of thing to keep happening to everyone.
I like the thing where she swings her crown as her forward air. I think.
Like that too. But I also like her rainbow move that she got in Smash 4.
Right.
And like if Smash 4 had just ported all of Brawl's assets over, I don't know if we would have gotten that.
Yeah, and like the big thing, rebuilding it from the ground up actually gives us a chance to revamp Ganondorf.
I don't think...
Like, of course, that's the big thing. I know you don't want him.
It's not even that I don't want him. I mean, like, that's true, too. I also just don't think it's plausible. Because Ganondorf... Like, I expect Ganondorf to get the same kind of stuff I was just talking about with Peach, just as a random example that came off the top of my head. Like, I think Ganondorf should get, you know, a couple new moves, a couple changes to be a little less cloney, a couple, like, different stats on some of his moves to be like, this move has less and lag now, this move has, like, a different particle effect, you know, stuff like that.
Not enough.
But, like, the main reason, besides the fact that Sakurai obviously likes Ganondorf how he is, that Ganondorf won't get changed, is because Ganondorf hasn't appeared in a Zelda game since
Hyrule
Twilight
Warriors.
Princess. In a Zelda game, not a Warriors game.
I mean, I don't think fans would be upset at all if they went with a Hyrule Warriors design, because that's his most popular look, if we're being honest. And his abilities are the most defined
I would
there,
be upset.
too. And that's on it. That's just the best Ganondorf. I mean, it's
The
and
best...
even then, you could still keep like Twilight Princess Ganondorf and still give him a new moveset, like pull from other games, his dual swords from Wind Waker or Magic.
Ganondorf is only going to become less important.
Not necessarily. I think they'll bring him back eventually, even though I don't want him to.
Eventually,
Also,
sure.
Calamity Ganondorf. Calamity Ganondorf.
Calamity Ganon is a whole different thing. That's what they've been doing. I mean, Demise also.
No, but I'm just saying
is
it's
a whole
possible
different thing.
It's possible we're gonna get some Calamity Ganon references in his moveset.
Sure, I could see it.
Maybe.
I mean, you know what my preferred solution to the Ganon debacle is. I want
Ganon,
Blue
yes.
Pig Ganon. Blue Pig Ganon.
I do not want
Blue
more
Pig Ganon.
iterations of the Triforce trio in Smash. Don't waste your efforts on it.
I
Give us new characters.
agree that if Blue Pig Ganon was it for Zelda, it would be disappointing. But if we got Midna and Blue Pig Ganon, nobody could complain.
No, because I'd rather someone else. I would rather Girahim or
Okay,
Daruk
I know
or
you would
Mipha.
rather Girahim.
Yeah, but Daruk or Mipha really would also be preferable. Or Bosa and Rivali, because at least we're repping something that isn't repped.
What if they cut Ganondorf in favor of Blue Pig Ganon? Would that be satisfactory to you?
That's hard, because it's like, I don't like Ganondorf,
Right.
but he's such an icon in a sense that Blue Pig Ganon really isn't. Like, Ganondorf is what people think of as the de facto Zelda villain. I just think it's wrong to replace him with Ganon.
Sure. Okay.
Like, Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess are the biggest Zelda games, except maybe Breath of the Wild now, but it's just not right.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can't do that, Sterling.
kind
You
of
can't do
agree.
that.
But, like, I'd also prefer Blue Pig Ganon to Ganondorf in basically every context. I would rather have had Blue Pig Ganon as the final boss of Twilight Princess, and Wind Waker, and Ocarina of Time. I love Blue Pig Ganon, in case that wasn't clear. His classic design is the best design. Link to the Past. Actually, I really love his Four Swords Adventures design a lot.
I mean, I think A Link to the Past is obviously his best appearance.
Yeah.
Not just in terms of design, but abilities too.
Mm-hmm.
Those fire bats, man. The fire bats.
Absolutely. Anyway, that's, I think, most of an episode. I do want to... Last episode we talked about, as we were wrapping up, we talked about how we would address some newcomer suggestions that people threw our way. And we do have a Twitter account now. It's
Challenger Approaching with an exclamation point. Or at Challenger and then APPR1.
Challenger a prone. Got it.
Yes. And so feel free to text us suggestions.
Right.
Or tweet us suggestions.
I did receive from, like, our first dedicated listener that we got, who is a friend of mine. I got 2 character suggestions here. They're pretty out there. I guess we should only talk about one of them because we were running pretty short on time. How would you feel about seeing the Zeta Metroid with Omega Metroid as a final smash?
I don't even know what the Zeta Metroid is.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
I
know what the Omega Metroid is.
The Zeta Metroid
that thing?
is the one that's, like, fought all the time throughout Samus Returns, and also the one that it's based on. You know what I mean. Metroid 2.
My opinion is the same as every non-Ridley Metroid newcomer. It would just be a letdown. Like, you can't have another Metroid newcomer that isn't Ridley. It's just not going to sit well with fans.
Okay, but like in terms of moveset, how would you feel about the Zeta Metroid? In terms of like as a playable character, assume that Ridley's already in Smash. Assume that this is for Smash 25. How would you feel about Zeta Metroid?
I'm not extremely familiar with the Metroid franchise. Just based on its design, I think that it could be an interesting fighter. It's not humanoid. It's got a very different out there, almost dog-like look to it.
Yeah.
Like, I could get down for that.
It's pretty interesting, I feel. Anyway.
Especially if you can, like, suck people's HP.
Yeah.
Like Robin's Nosferatu, except better. You know?
Absolutely.
That'd be nice.
I mean, like, I've for a long time felt that having a Metroid to represent Metroid would be cool. I think Dark Samus being the Metroid Prime is the most plausible. But
That's still a third Samus.
When I'm feeling a little goofy, I do like to throw my hat in the ring for the baby as a potential character.
I like the idea of Kraid. Like one of the mini Kraids.
I think it'd be hilarious if Kraid got in before Ridley.
Yes. One of the mini Kraids, though.
Sure. So is that an episode?
Because Kraid can be scaled down. Yes, I suppose it would be.
Yeah, alright. We tried to keep that under an hour. That didn't work.
We failed.
That's fine. We had a lot to say. We'll probably...
It's not much shorter than the last one.
We'll probably have a lot to say next time, because next time is gonna be our E3 reactions. So, bye.
Yep, bye.
Thanks for listening. Bucko.
Yes.
I guess. I don't know how we should end these things. We need some kind of sign off.
Yeah, I got nothing.
All right. Well, we'll figure
maybe just
it out
like the
at some
Challenger
point.
approaching noise, like the siren.
Wow.
Yeah, except we're not doing it. We're having it edited.
Right. That makes far more sense. Okay.
Yes.
I'll see if I can't do
All right.
that.
I am now leaving.
All right.
I'm exiting the podcast. Goodbye.
Goodbye.